Hello, everybody. I want to take the opportunity to kind of continue from the network topology that I did in my first video, and go over how I set up my network. Um, Again, looking at the topology we have, it looks very complicated. There's all sorts of moving pieces, um, and really the way I've done my network, it's extremely basic. I tried to take a kind of a minimalist approach to it. Um, if we take a second here and look, what I've done is I have at the base of my network, a switch, and it's just a Cisco 3560G. And off of that, I basically I have a UCS C220 M3 server. That's basically my VMware server. That's got all of my VMs on it. Runs everything that you see, in our topology. Also, since this is a PoE capable switch, I have phones hanging off of that. And again, in the new CCIE lab, there are no hard phones. But since I have hard phones already in my lab, from previous study and stuff, plus I like to be able to touch and feel and do stuff and for other testing. I like the phones, so I have them hung off there. I'll create VLANs for those, just like we talked about in the topology before. And really, this is all there is to it. From that 3560G, I'm doing all of my layer 2 and layer 3. So I'm doing all my routing from there also. This simplifies things. So I'm not having to build routers and the switch and all that. Because, I mean, from what I've seen in the labs, there really is not a lot of networking to it. The more focus is the UC components and not the base network. The base network typically has been there for you. So now if we want to move on to kind of how I've set up this network, again, we'll look at our topology here. But really all I'm having to do on each of these is create each of these VLANs and then add my routing in place and all that. So here I'm logged into my home switch, or my lab switch here. So go into configuration mode and start with, give it a host name, CCIE lab, and then in order so that I will be able to route traffic, I need the IP routing command. But other than that, pretty much I'm going to configure all of my VLANs. So to start with, what I'm going to actually do is do it on Notepad here, and then I'll copy and paste that over into the switch. That does make things a little easier, just quicker and easier for me personally. So all I need is, so I'm going to create each of my VLANs, and I'll kind of just go around through it. So we'll go VLAN 103. Give a name. We're going to name the V3 HQ server. Do no shut. Do the VLAN interface. Int VLAN 103. Give it a description. I'm going to name it the exact same thing. V3 HQ server. Give it an IP address. And all of this is the exact information that I had already put into my topology that you saw before. So I'm just literally typing it in so that I can create all my network interfaces. Do no shut. And really that's all there is to create a VLAN. But what I'll do is I'll copy this, paste it. Okay, so now I'm going to do my data and my phones. Become HQ data I'm doing this wrong. That's HQ phone. And the phone is 10.11. And again, same thing. Change my VLAN numbers, change my name. And go from there. So that's all there is to the HQ site. I'll have my DMZ. I'm gonna create my DMZ public internet and all that at the end. So what I can do then is copy this, copy all three, paste them back in, and again start over of 2 comes site B, 203 again site B, and we're gonna be 101. 13, 2. And it's just a matter of changing each of our VLANs so that we are setting each of our VLANs so that we create each of those. We can do the same thing for site C and our DMZ and our public internet. I'm going to pause the video while I create those. I don't think you need to see me type all those out. Okay, and now that I've got all those configured, and again, I created our HQ server, HQ phone, HQ data, site B server, site B phone, site B data, site C server, site C phone, site C data, and then our DMZ, our PSTN, and our internet. It should cover all of what we have on our topology over here. So we're going to copy this and paste it. And it looks like I have an error. Yep, all my IP addresses have an error because I did not put subnet masks in them. But they're all class Cs, so this is quick and easy. Well, they're all /24s. So I'm going to copy it, paste it back in. Now, everything goes smoothly because no errors, everything's good there. So the next thing we'd look at is DHCP. So some of our VLANs, specifically probably our data and our voice VLANs, are going to need DHCP addresses. So here we'll again do that in our notebook editor, and then go from there, so that we can copy and paste a little bit, and it becomes a little bit smoother. So we got IP DHCP pool, and then we'll do E3 HQ data. Then our let's see, network is going to be 10.12.100.0 space net mask. Again, we're /24 there. default router is going to be the IP address for the VLAN that we just created, 12.100.254, and DNS server is going to be our HQ DNS server. We're going to actually use HQ DNS for all the sites as far as DNS goes internally. 10.10.100.9. So now if I copy that, I can do my phones pretty quickly. 11. And then the only thing else we need for our phone is our option 150. It's going to be an IP address of our HQ CUCM pub, so 10.10.100.11, and we're good to go. So that's our HQ data network. I can take that for our site B and copy it to site B for each of our, and then these become 101s and default router. And our option 150 also would become this will be the IP address of our site B CUCM node, which is again 10.10.101.11. And then if I take that again, paste it again, we can do site C pretty quickly. Site C, 102, router is 102. DNS server again, since it's internal, it's going to be always the same. The next one is site C. And that'll be our host. Or DNS, or option 150, sorry. Now, if we wanted to exclude some IP addresses, especially like maybe on our data network, we want to set some statics because our Jabber PC or our PC for each of those subnets is going to be a static IP address. So I might exclude some. We'll do IP DHCP exclude dash address and our beginning address. So in this case, we'll do 10.12.100.1 and ending address 10.12.100. Let's do 25. And I might do that for all of them. So I'm gonna do it quickly. So 1, 2. So yeah, now I should be able to take my entire configuration here, copy it, back over to my switch, paste it in, and I've got an error in my DHCP exclude statements. IP DHCP. Exclude address. 10.10.100.1 is 100.25. There we go. Okay. So these are fairly easy. We'll just go edit them as I go. Just up arrow, get your config. Okay. Let's write our config so that we don't lose it if the router reboots or if I have to reboot it or something like that. Let's check just to make sure. We should have 10.10.100.254 should be pingable, which it is, and everything's good. So the next thing I would look at setting up is some of my port configurations. I've already got most of that done because like I say, that there are I have an existing CCIE Collab V2 lab that I've kind of been playing with before I've started my V3. So one of the things though, so the first thing I would set up is my trunk port. So we'll just do show runt in gigabit 05, which is my trunk port, which we can see that's the trunk to the ESXi server or my C220 M3. So it's a very basic configuration as far as the trunk port goes. I've got a description and switch port trunk encapsulation .1Q, switch port mode trunk, and switch port no negotiate. I don't specify the VLANs on here because you can do the commands where you the switch port trunk commands where you specify which VLANs are allowed. By not specifying anything here, I allow all VLANs, so anything that the ESXi server will try and send to me, I'll basically accept on the switch. This makes it a lot easier. So the other configuration we'll have to look at is the phones. So here's one of my phones. Since this is already set up for a previous setup that I had, or the V2 lab that I had set up previously when I was studying for that, we'll need to switch our VLANs around and set those for the new VLANs. I'm going to go in global configuration mode, go into GI 035, support access VLAN, and do our HQ data VLAN, which is 123, and then do switch port voice VLAN, which is our 113. And you got to type it right. So, you should. Again, now if we look at that, we've changed that. I do a shut, no shut on that interface, just to bounce it and make that take effect. But other than that, that configures all that. Now I would have to go through and do the same thing for any phones I've got registered to Site B, Site C, and the PSTN, and so on. But at this point in time, I'm not changing those or setting those up. I'll probably do that at a later date. But it's the exact same command. Just go into the interface and set your ports. Most of this is probably CCNA level stuff. I'm guessing most of you probably have a CCNA, so this has probably just been a review. If you've never seen this before and are kind of lost, I would definitely suggest probably reviewing some of those materials from the CCNA route switch. There's some great information out there on YouTube and other sources for that. But I hope this has helped at least get a general idea of how I've set up my lab, and I'm hoping that others can kind of get some inspiration and set up your labs also. Thanks for watching, and again, if you have any suggestions, please definitely put those in the comments below. Thank you.